one of the most amazing things about you is that you have these massive global hits. You've performed in front of tens of thousands of people, and yet you still manage to live a relatively normal life. Like, you can still walk. I mean, you literally took a jog around the venue that you were performing at the day you were here in the Bay Area, and there were people lined up to go in, and you were just running past them.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm a very quick runner. What can I say? Yeah, no, I think we've sort of made it a thing from the beginning to try and just have music that does its own thing, and then also, but as people, be kind of separate from that as much as possible, and enjoy being creative and making weird, strange videos and artworks for albums that we love, but that isn't all about our appearance or our faces or anything like that. So I actually have a very long, convoluted anecdote about that involves a volcano and not being recognized. That I
please tell me. I think this is when you were in South America.
It was, yeah. I was in Guatemala, and basically, just for context. So when we first had some success in the UK, I was sort of growing up, like, wasn't really anticipating that I'd be in a band, and I guess the idea of suddenly being in quite a mainstream band in our home country was pretty surprising to us and to everybody involved. And my sort of very self-loathing, self-critical, I don't know, personality also made me and actually all of us think, like, it's incredible and such a privilege to have songs that people want to listen to, but we have no interest in being famous as people. So we did kind of everything in our power at the beginning to retreat as far as we could from that. So sort of turning down most TV opportunities and interviews and things like that, which I guess probably seems quite grumpy of us. And but I think, we were lucky at the time. People were just coming to our music, and it was doing really well, and that wasn't based at all on our personalities or us as people, which is a huge privilege. But so we sort of just retreated as much as possible. And I remember really minimizing my personality in interviews. I didn't want to be someone that anyone would come to for a quote or say anything sort of controversial. So I kind of dumbed and bored myself down as much as possible, which weirdly seemed to work. Cutting to this anecdote, so I went backpacking with a couple of friends, which has been something that I've tried to do, as much as possible every year. Take a few weeks off and go backpacking, because obviously getting to tour is incredible, and we're so lucky, to get to travel, but it's a cliche for a reason. There's only so much you can see when the schedule is so packed. So it was like thinking how great it would be to get out and see the world as much as possible and go to countries that we don't get to tour in. So I found myself with a couple of friends in Guatemala, did this sort of, I'd say, trek, because it makes it sound more epic, up a very, very long, basically up a volcano.
And I should mention, you were staying at a youth hostel, right?
Yeah, staying at a youth hostel.
Not like a fancy, here's a youth hostel with a backpack.
Yeah,
you were just like,
totally.
Dan Smith, here's my ID, I'm at a youth hostel. Okay,
yeah,
keep going.
Totally. Here's my passport. Please, can I have it back? Because I need this to get home, and it's got my US visa in it, so I need it to work in America. So we got this volcano, and it's like the idea is it's 7 or 8 hours up. You stay in like just normal tents that are on these little ledges on the side of the mountain, and you have some dinner when you get to the top. You go to bed at about 8, because you have to then get up at 3 a.m. to climb the rest of it, get to the summit and watch the sunrise or whatever. But we got to the top. One of my friends that I was with going up, she sort of at the bottom was like, look, I'm not fit enough for this. Screw you all. I'm going to put in some headphones and listen to some podcasts. So she was out in terms of 8 hours of walking up a hill. She was out of the conversation. And my other friend was quite far back. So I was just chatting a lot to all the other people. And it's your classic backpacker, people from all over the world. And I was, small talk central, just having to make conversation with absolutely everyone, which was really fun and interesting, as it always is. But I hate talking about my job, and I'm kind of, I just don't really like that it, because it is obviously interesting to people. I don't like how it then just dominates everything. So I'll always sort of be quite weirdly evasive when it comes to those questions. But cut to the end. So we're at the top, we get there, it's 8 o'clock, everyone's going to bed. And this guy, there's a guy from Israel who's on honeymoon with his new wife, and there's a guy from the Netherlands, and they both came up to me and were like, Dan, do you want to go? The local guy who's the guide who's taken us up the mountain, he has offered to take us on an extra hour and a half trek down the valley up to the mouth of the volcano so we can see the lava kind of coming out of the volcano. Yeah. Like, do you want to come? Like, now's the only time. And I was like, oh, bed or lava? Bed or lava? Chose lava.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm horribly ill-equipped for backpacking. So I was in like trainers and some tracksuit bottoms. I had to borrow head torches and a waterproof of other people. We sort of trek in the dark, kind of down this valley, up the other side. We eventually get to the top, and I'm like so excited about seeing lava. Not that I've ever really thought about it before in my life. We get there, and this huge mist descends. So we're basically stuck on the top of this volcano, the four of us, and it sounds like the beginning of a bad joke. But eventually, because we're stuck there, and we're like, oh, let's just wait. We've made it this far. It took us an hour and a half. Let's wait.
Yeah.
Eventually, we're all interviewing each other about our lives, and the guy's like, so you've said that you play music and you've said that you get to travel the world, but I just don't understand how that works. Are you in like a wedding band or what? And I was like, reluctantly, like, we've had like a few songs that have kind of done all right. And he's like, this is the Dutch guy. He's like, try me. Like, what's one of them called? And I was like, there's a song called Pompeii. And he was like, shut up. He's like, you're the guy that made that song. We're literally on a volcano. You're the volcano gong. You're the volcano guy. And we're on a volcano. And then the guy, the Israeli guy, was like, we had that song at our wedding last week. What the hell? And then so he started playing it out of his phone. And then the Guatemalan guy who didn't speak any English, he then started singing along to the song. I was like, amazing. This is so weird. But they also kind of didn't believe that it had anything to do with me. And then we're listening to that and Happier Too, and like a bunch of other songs. So it was just quite a weird moment where I was sitting there, my cover was blown, and then obviously all the questions, which come from a really nice place, but I'm just as you can tell, not very good at talking about it. So all the questions come flooding in, and I'm up there like, no, this is my worst nightmare. I'm stuck up here with three people who desperately want to know everything about what it's like to be in a band.
And it's hard because you are, I think, by nature an introvert, which we'll talk about. And I relate to that as somebody who has been in audio my whole career, because when I'm on an airplane or I meet people at an event, I really hate the question, what do you do? Because especially when I'm, in a city in the U.S., because oftentimes they'll know how I built this, right? Or they'll know some of my shows. And then it's all about me, and I don't want it to be about me.
You were saying before, I think, because we talked about this, you were saying sometimes people recognize your voice, like when you're, ordering or something like that.
Yeah.
That must be so surreal. Because obviously, as a podcast listener, it's such a personal thing. You could be listening, trying to sleep. You could, you're right in someone's brain. Yeah, so it must be a kind of strange thing when people feel like with you, I imagine, probably know you quite well.